President Donald Trump. Let's have those on our screen at the moment. You will see there that he's certainly not mincing his words. He says the wacky ambassador to the UK foisted upon the United States is not someone we are thrilled with, a very stupid guy. He should speak to his country, the Prime Minister May, about their failed Brexit negotiation. And of course, moving further, says, I told Theresa May how to do that deal, but she went on her own foolish way, was unable to get it done. A disaster, Donald Trump says. I don't know the ambassador, but we have been told he's a pompous fool. Tell him the US now has the best economy and military anywhere in the world by far. Let's chat now to our correspondent Kevin McAleese, who is live to us now from the United States, from Washington, D.C. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for your time this evening. Many are saying this is a bad day for diplomacy, of course, between the United States and Britain. Let's start with the leak, of course. What impact is this likely to have on relations between the two countries?
Well, we're seeing the impact roll out immediately with that resignation earlier today by Sir Kim Darroch from the post of UK ambassador to the United States, one of the most coveted posts in diplomatic lanes across the world. It's a beautiful residence that he works in and lives in here. He's been there since January 2016 and, of course, was due to step down from his post at the end of the year. He's obviously going early now because of the furore surrounding those leaked cables in which he criticised this president and criticised this president's administration, describing it as inept and chaotic. It should be pointed out, these are words that we've heard linked and described, describing the White House, describing this president many times before here in the United States. The difference, of course, is this person worked for the British government, one of the strongest allies of the United States. You know, we talk a lot about the special relationship. Well, at the moment, that special relationship is lurching from controversy to controversy. A lot of strain on those ties at the moment, and this certainly hasn't helped. We know how Donald Trump feels about Sir Kim. He's made that very clear, as you outlined in those tweets. And Sir Kim resigning because, as he said, he simply could no longer do his job effectively in the United States.
Yeah, Kevin, so what has been the response from the Trump administration or Donald Trump himself after this resignation? Anything we've heard thus far?
Well, the main response was from the President of the United States himself. You know, when you describe the UK diplomat, top UK diplomat, as a fool, a pompous fool, wacky, a stupid guy, well, there's no way back from that. There were two things that killed Kim Darroch's career out here in the United States in his current role, and that was the original leaks themselves to the Mail on Sunday, and of course Donald Trump's response to that, especially when he declared that the White House would no longer be working with Sir Kim. What are you going to do if your position is as the intermediary between the US and the UK, if you're responsible for things like intelligence matters, political analysis and trade deals, and the President of the United States shuts the door on you, you haven't got many options left.
Yeah, I want to go back just a little bit there, Kevin. I mean, how did these leaks come about? Just walk us through what exactly happened. Of course, we're seeing the entail of it now, but of course, the leaks happened and then this subsequent resignation of Sir Darroch.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the leaks were originally generated and published via the Mail on Sunday. We're not entirely sure the source of those leaks, although there will be an investigation to get to the bottom of that. But someone somewhere along the chain decided that it was an idea to publish these confidential secret memos. These aren't meant to be public, to publish those, and they're obviously well aware of the damage that could ensue. And here we've really seen the outcome of that, the result of those confidential emails written and sent by Sir Kim Darroch, in which they really went after President Trump, his reputation, the way he governs, and the way his White House works. Again, I said it's nothing new, but coming from the UK ambassador, it holds a certain significance that you don't normally see when it's, say, a US political public figure criticising the president with similar language.
All right. For example, I mean, this investigation that you're alluding to, I mean, without a doubt, this investigation will get underway quite soon. But of course, I mean, what is being said in the United States at the moment in terms of, was this political? What is the speculation that you're hearing on the ground at the moment?
Well, yeah, the speculation is that someone deliberately released these cables in an attempt to unseat Sir Kim Darroch. To what end, we don't know at the moment. Obviously, the UK is in a political period of transition. There is currently a leadership battle underway. And actually, we saw last night during a TV debate for the role of Prime Minister that Boris Johnson, who's the current favourite to get that position, didn't back Sir Kim Darroch when asked if he would do so were he to become Prime Minister. His closest competitor, the Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, said he would keep Sir Kim Darroch in that role until the end of his tenure later this year. So you have this sort of political chaos back in the UK, bleeding heavily across the Atlantic into the US administration, which has its own issues to grapple with. But ultimately, this is very damaging for ties between the UK and the US, and that's how we're seeing this playing out at the moment. This is described as a special relationship, but it has been under pressure. Donald Trump has embraced that controversial figure, the pro-Brexiteer Nigel Farage. He has had several back and forth rows with London's Mayor Sadiq Khan, and he's also sort of retweeted some far-right posts on Twitter in the UK. So, there are issues. There is strain already here. This is only sort of building on top of that.
All right, we saw Boris Johnson there, of course, touted to be the next British Prime Minister. But what do you make of those tweets? And part of the US President's response to that in those tweets seems to be also an attack on the outgoing British Prime Minister Theresa May, where he brings Brexit into that tweet as well, saying she failed to carry that out. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's been a very spiky relationship since day one. Donald Trump was only in the UK for a state visit last month. On Twitter, he said that the best part of that was meeting the Queen. You can read between the lines what he thought of the political figures he sat down with and talked to during that trip. He has offered some praise for Theresa May at times, but has often gone after her credibility in terms of her handling of the Brexit situation, which he insists she failed to take his advice. That advice, I would say, is pretty opaque. He's never come out with any comprehensive strategy that the UK should be following, but nonetheless he has always said that she should have taken his advice and the UK would be a lot better off as a result.
All right, Kevin, just finally there, I mean, obviously the next few days are crucial, but how do the US and the UK, Britain, recover from this in terms of relations?
Well, you're right, there will be a healing period. Sir Kim Darroch has stepped down. There will be a process at some point to find his replacement for the role. It'll be interesting to see who they decide to put into this position in Washington. Will it be a career diplomat, someone who has a grasp and already experience within this delicate political and diplomatic profession, or will it be a complete outsider, someone with no experience in the role? Certainly Donald Trump has said in the past that Nigel Farage would make an excellent ambassador. I'm not suggesting that's on the cards, but certainly Donald Trump has some ideas. But the US won't necessarily have a say in that, but certainly Donald Trump won't hesitate to make his opinion heard if he cares to do so.
Yeah, we'll be watching developments very closely there. Thank you very much for your time. Live to us there from Washington in the United States, SABC correspondent Kevin McAleese. Francis.